I'm just starting the video. Hello, Adamas.
Yeah. Good. I'm upside down in the picture. I don't know
How
why.
are
It's.
you?
Oh no, it's my camera. It's my camera. There we
That's
go. Okay,
perfect.
all good.
That's a
Indeed.
perfect intro to Karma Burns.
Yes,
We should
indeed.
just leave you like that.
It's okay. I'm happy being upside down.
Tip it
Yeah.
all out, eh?
Yeah. No, up and down. Yeah, no, all good.
So the great Adamas, the great master maker behind the Karma Burns products.
Yeah, well, there's three of us. Yeah, I'm the homeopath, so it's like
You're
I
the
brought most
alchemist.
of this. Yes. But the other guys play quite strongly into. They bring all sorts of bits to the party, and we brainstorm a lot on it. But yeah,
No,
the
I know.
formulation was a lot of. It's a bit of everyone. It's a beautiful formulation. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to speak to you a little bit about the product
Mm.
and what it's about, and get a little bit of an introduction and maybe a heads up for people that are joining my group, because I'm going to do a combination of sort of my own skills and influences. But I do want to know, just in your opinion, what is the Karma Burns product? A little bit about, just a bit of an introduction of what is homeopathy, and what do you think karma is? I know it's a lot of questions, but how do you think it's all working, and what do people expect?
Okay. Um, well, karma, from my perspective, or from a more Buddhist perspective, is just residual memory. So it's like, for example, if we had a bad relationship with our father when we were 6, and we were never able to resolve that emotional charge, that gets stuck somewhere in the body. If we witnessed an accident when we were 12, driving down the highway, we went into shock and we weren't ever able to process that, that becomes karma. All of these things, when I was taking Karma Burn, for example, I drove past my school in Johannesburg, and I was flooded with memory, all this old stuff that I'd actually was sitting somewhere in my body that I wasn't aware of, but actually going past that place was enough to trigger all this memory. It was fascinating. But afterwards, I was much lighter. We must remember that karma, which is action, if not dealt with, gets stored in the body. And as it gets stored in the body, it's taking up space, which we could be using for more interesting stuff, for more fun stuff, or for our own process of liberation, all of this. So it's really just the old junk, the trash. I mean, if you were to envisage someone's body as a house, most people's houses will be stuffed with junk they haven't used in 30, 40 years, and it's like rotting and molding and
This
stuff
is
that happened.
disgusting.
Yeah, and it's terrible. I mean, you'd hardly be able to get into the house. There'd be so much junk. People spend so much time doing detoxes, but they don't really look at detoxing the mental space, the mental emotional space, and a lot of it is stuff that gets programmed subconsciously that we can't even access normally easily. But the beauty with Karma Burn is actually able to go back to a lot of that stuff and free it up. Now, the intention behind Karma Burn was to make this process as gentle as possible. Deep, profound, yet gentle. I mean, the homeopathic maxim of rapid and gentle, we've tried to dovetail here because it's very important. But if I'll just go now into some of the ingredients in the formulation so you get an idea of what we're working with
Yeah,
to
please,
create
that would be
this.
great.
The keystone really for me in this formulation is this Navaratna. It's an ancient Ayurvedic formula. Well, it's not even Ayurvedic, it's an ancient Buddhist formula formulated by Nagarjuna, who was an enlightened alchemist but what, maybe 2,000 years ago? And his particular thing was creating remedies around liberation. So what the Navaratna is it's Nava, 9, Ratna, gems. There's 9 gems that have been burnt. Each gem has been burnt 100 times. They burn it, and they take the ash, they burn it again, and they burn it again. So the Navaratna itself takes a year to make. It's a highly
Wow.
complex formulation to make. Then they squeeze herbal juices into it, and then they burn it again, and then it's eventually pressed into pills, which becomes the
Wow.
Navaratna. So, and the specific intention Nagarjuna had around this formulation was to clear up the samskaras, the binding obscurations, the knots in our energetic formulation. So to free those, to liberate all of that, to allow it to pass out of the system. Now, my experience with Navaratna by itself was it can be quite full on, but it can be quite intense. It's not, no, Nagarjuna didn't design it around pleasantness necessarily. His thing was just like, okay, here's the job, clear the obscurations from the person, clear the karma from the person, let's flush it. But he didn't look at, well, is this going to be a pleasant or enjoyable process for people? Back in the day, they were a lot more hardy and willing to sit in caves for 10 years in order to gain their liberation than we are today. Yeah? But so what we looked at with the rest of the formulation is to build things around that which made the process easier. So, I mean, I'll just go through sort of pairings of the remedies. The next thing we put in was mother's milk. Now, this is a remedy made from 9 different mother's milks. So it captures the essence of being held, being loved, being nourished, being looked after, feeling comfortable, having the capsule in which the whole thing can occur. So it's, being in the crucible itself, but it's the crucible which is warm and cozy and fluffy, and there's stuff to drink in it. So it's not, you're not going through this karma burn process in a state of isolation. It is being held. You're getting the sense of nourishment. Then, in order to speed the removal of the karma from the body, we included Ganges water from Gormukh, which is the source of the Ganges, where the glacier actually melts and drips down and starts the one source of the Ganges at Gangotri in Himachal Pradesh in India. So it's,
okay. I was wondering which part of the Ganges you were choosing.
No, we actually had 3 or 4 different ones.
The part of the Ganges that I saw was at Varanasi.
Pretty messy.
Was every person bathing, dead bodies, there were dolphins, there was weddings, there was tea being made up the river. It was the most prayers. I mean, I was just thinking like, okay, Ganges water, okay, what is this teaching me? Well, okay, start to pray over all your past indiscretions.
There's many aspects to this Ganges water. I mean, we considered putting the Varanasi. There's a Varanasi version. I mean, I love Varanasi personally, but there's a Varanasi version of Ganges water. But given that memory is carried in the water, I mean, you have to bear in mind that there's over 1 billion people in India praying to the Ganges as the great mother that'll bring
that's
liberation.
An incredible link to the work that I've just been doing.
Huge.
The mother energy, I mean, the Kundalini. Remember we spoke about Tiamat, the honoring of the femme. There's so many. That's beautiful.
But we thought we'd get it from the source, so it would actually represent the purest format of, because we wanted for the washing away, the cleansing, but still the ancientness of the memory. So, I mean, there's something peculiar with Ganges water, even the stuff that's taken from Varanasi. It has apparently 50 times the oxygen of normal water, and it just doesn't go off. Even Ganges water, which has been sitting in bottles for 10 years, it does not go off. There is something pure about the substance. It is I put it down to the 1 billion people just praying consistently to the river. It literally makes the river holy. Whether the river was holy to begin with or not is almost irrelevant. The fact that 1 billion people have put their mind tech into this water, it has become a holy substance. But a lot of it is about washing away of, I don't want to use a Christian term like sins or anything as prosaic or boring like that, but it's your past, it's your memory, the accumulated memory, the crappy time you had in like nursery school where Johnny stole your chocolate milk and poured it on your head and you had to go around the whole day with this wet, sticky mess on it. All of these get embedded in people's memory as trauma, and we have no normal way of getting rid of this stuff. Even a lot of the processing methodologies aren't able to access it that deeply because it's hidden away, it's buried, it's covered, it becomes a scar which we then put a wall around to protect. But what Karma Burn does is it goes back to all that stuff and flushes it in as gentle a manner as possible. So let me continue with the formulation because we're not done yet. We put in emerald. Now, emerald represents the protection of the heart space. So it's around nourishing the heart. So that feeling of being loved, being protected. So that while one's going through this whole Navaratna experience, through this whole Karma Burn experience, you're once again held. Half the formulation is around clearing and half is around holding. So the emerald is around holding the heart and letting one feel loved and nourished. Traditionally, the emerald is given in India as the man will give the woman an emerald necklace, and that'll be her sign of devotion to him. It's around love, it's about trust, it's about community and being, yeah, integrity. That's what the emerald's about. So we put that in there as a protector, as a heart nourisher. Now, the next thing we put in was the turkey vulture. Now, the turkey vulture is a very interesting substance. So the turkey vulture itself is able to detox substances up to the level of anthrax. So it's an incredible detoxer. It's like,
Oh my
but I mean,
God.
the Latin name of turkey vulture, cathartes aura, is like catharsis, a cleaning of the
Whoa.
aura. And I've seen, I mean, my personal experiences with cathartes aura are post-relationship. It is the most amazing ability just to clear away all the junk of the heart, all the pain, all the trauma, all the hurt, the like, you done me wrong, the like, why didn't it work? You know, all that junk specifically around relationships, it clears that. Now, I mean, I don't care who you are, even the Dalai Lama probably has some issues around relationships because this is the core of being human, of who we are. Unless you're a monk, then there are no relationships. But then you'll have issues around not having a relationship and like wanting and what would happen if. So it clears all that stuff out, the junk of the heart, in a sense. As emerald holds the heart, the turkey vulture clears the junk of the heart. And yeah, it's like I said, every time I've taken it in the context post relationship, it has had amazing clearing effect on that. It's also, I've heard cases of the turkey vulture being used just to clear up everything from tooth abscesses to ulcers to, it clears the body of poisonous, toxic junk, whether it's emotional or physical in nature. So I put that in there to like get to the root of a lot of the heart related stuff. Not necessarily, the Navaratna deals with the memory, but the heart stuff, the turkey vultures put specifically in for. The next substance I put in there was the Iboga. Now, Iboga, I don't know if you know much about Iboga. Iboga is used as an initiation substance in Gabon, Cameroon, Northern Africa. It's given to children as young as 13 years old, and it's supposed to show you your path in life, what you should be doing. It's used a lot these days for healing people with addiction. So it's able to clear the body's memory of an addictive pattern of behavior. So, for example, there's a lot of work these days around alcoholics or heroin addicts where they actually are given large doses of Iboga, and it actually reboots the system and gives them a clean slate with regards to an actual substance. So they no longer have the craving for that substance. I mean, I've taken a large dose of Iboga as well, and afterwards I came out of it and it was not for any addiction, but I came out of it and it was like I had no urge to smoke. I was a solid smoker of cigarettes, and it's like I felt in my body there was not one part of my body that wanted to a cigarette. I still happen to want to smoke. Mentally, I like the idea of smoking. So I started smoking again. But at that point, had I wanted to put it down, it would have been effortless. There would have been no pain involved. Now, with homeopathic remedies, obviously, it's a much more dilute version of the actual, the Iboga plant, but it still carries this thread. The other important aspect where Iboga acts is it's supposed to clear any problems you have in your family lineage. I mean, going back parents, grandparents, issues you might have had with the family lineage, whether it was not seeing the grandfather or the grandmother. I mean, when I took the Iboga, I'd been in a bit of a strange state when my mother died, and I was able to clear a lot of that. So I was able to lay that to rest. I was able to make peace with her. I saw her there, like beaming down on me, like she actually understood me. I saw that she saw me, and so I was able to put any agitation I had vis-a-vis my mother and her death to rest, which is a beautiful thing. Now, this is one of the things they use it for quite strongly, just to establish lines of connection, proper connection through the family lineage, going to grandparents, even further if necessary. But it's where there have been breaks in the line and there's been misunderstanding and there's been a tension or a crack in the picture, if you like, it repairs those things. So it's an immensely powerful and beautiful substance in itself, and it's a lot of the work that's being done with it is very profound. I mean, it's a lot of it's focused on addiction, but for me, it represented Iboga is like the old man who will teach you. He'll spend 2 weeks teaching you how to, clean your teeth or like cut your nails. endlessly patient. It'll go over it again and again and again, endlessly. It's that essence of, I know you deal a lot with family constellations, but it was like the archetype of what the grandfather should be. They've done their movie, they're kind of relaxing, and they're just looking after the grandchildren. The grandchildren love them because they've got the time for them. They'll fully engage them. But it's that timeless, relentless patience aspect of the masculine, which we don't see that much of, but it's a very beautiful aspect. For me, when I took the Iboga, it was like, okay, well, here's the thing. The relationships came up as an issue on the Iboga, and it was just again and again and again. It's like, I will resolve this. I forced you to face it until you actually resolved it. So although you don't get the full impact of like a massive dose of Iboga, that is still running. It's still running in the system. It's like bringing stuff to your attention that needs to be dealt with. I spoke to a guy recently who uses a lot of Iboga, and he said when he took it, Iboga showed him how to clean his teeth properly. It actually took it down to like, no, you're doing it the wrong way. Do it like this. But as some simple things like that, the right way to live, the right way to interface with reality. So, that's the other. Okay, there's two more ingredients in the combo, and there's rainbow, which is made from a highly potentized, not from the actual rainbow, because obviously you can't capture rainbow, but you pass light through water and it splits, and then it goes, or you pass light through a prism and it splits, and then it splits into water, and that is captured. So its essence, it has all the colors in it. Now that is potentized 50,000 times to an extremely high degree of potentization. So it represents a massive insurge of light into the body, which is once again one of the supportive things. Rainbow is very supportive as a substance, but it really is the essence of the full spectrum, which represents the full chakral system from red to violet and everything in between. So it basically supports all the chakras as one's going through this. The last ingredient is the medicine Buddha mantra, which the three of us did in ceremony, where we chanted over a bowl of water, and then we potentized that substance. Now, the medicine Buddha mantra, as you know, if done repeatedly, is supposed to cure all disease. Now, most disease represents old karmic tendencies. So we put this in as part of the tendency to like, well, given that karma will form disease if allowed to be there long enough, if we can get to the source of the disease, which is the curing of the disease, then that's part of the liberation of karma. So it's a very beautiful, for me, this karma burn represents a work of high homeopathic, alchemical, shamanic art. It's like a soft sculpture, energetic structure, which then goes into the system and starts unplugging and clearing a lot of the junk of the heart, of the mind, of history, of family lineage. I mean, we've covered a lot when we've put it into the substance. So it's not a trivial substance. It's not Smarties or Chappies here. It's serious stuff, but it's designed for. We have designed it to make it as gentle as possible and to be as supportive as possible, but it will go deep into the structure of your being and start to sort stuff out. Now, I'd just like to say a few things about my own personal experience with Karma Burn, but obviously everyone will have their own. But I mean, I've taken a lot of everything. But what happened with Karma Burn was the first time I took it, it was more like the negative stuff came up. So it was like all the negative relationships I'd had, all of that came up in order to be free. Then it was more like the positive stuff. The like neutral stuff, happy stuff, like happy memories for me as like 12 years old just came back as a flash, bang, okay, and then gone. Then it was more like the stuff I was indifferent to. But this was third, fourth, fifth time taking Karma Burn. The sixth time I took it, it actually manifested people in my life who had been out of my life for 20 years. They actually came back into my life in order for me to complete my karma with them and actually say, okay, I see you, our karma is done, cheers, bye-bye. So to allow that portion to be put to rest, because otherwise part of your mind space is still tied up with, oh, you know about that person, they're a bit crazy, and oh, if they enter your life, it's going to be chaos again. And if you can just put that to rest and allow them to say, okay, well, now I see where they are, I've made my peace with them, they know our karma is finished, we've said our goodbyes, I can move on, they can move on, you're not holding that person anymore. And I found a number of people where I gave this to another friend of mine, and it was actually this guy, she manifested this guy who'd been holding Karma. He thought in his drunken state that he'd tried to rape her when nothing of the sort had happened, and he'd thought of this for 20 years. He'd kept this in his head. Now, she took the Karma burn. He manifested to confess his sins to her.
Wow.
She didn't even have this experience. She actually thought he was gay. So it was like a
That's
completely weird thing, but
amazing.
he was so
Carrying
drunk
stuff that
that
isn't
this
even there, like
it
a
wasn't
ghost.
even there, but it was like his karma that he was subtly holding
Wow.
something in her. So it
That is
allowed him to
amazing.
confess. She was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Nothing like that actually happened." But it allowed her to free that up from her state and his state. So it was benefiting other people as well. So where this karma burn can go is it's massive. I've taken it 6 times already, and it still unveils different things when I take it because the level, I mean, it's how deep do you want to go? We have a whole lifetime of stuff. And then if you want to go back to past lives, it's all that stuff. But if you're not even looking at that, but just look at what we've generated, ideally, any interaction is you have an interaction, it's flawless, it's the perfect interaction, and then you go your separate ways. But most times that's not what happens. Most of the times there's some level of misunderstanding, there's some level of hurt, some level of pain, especially when it comes to family and relationships. There's some jarring. And at that point, if you want to look at it like crystals get formed in the body, and in those crystals, there's a chunk of memory locked in with emotion, which we haven't resolved. Now, often when you take homeopathic remedies, it'll go back to an old pain and it'll be locked in a particular portion of the body. So we'll have a pain in the body and then it'll liberate the memory. Now, this is what it does. It's freeing up memory of trapped memory of all these things from the body. So it's like I said, where this can go, huge. I've taken it 5 or 6 times, and I know the next time I take it, something new will come up. So it's not endless. There's obviously an end, but each time you take it, there will be different things that we looked at, focused on, and it's very exciting because it gives you the tools to actually clear out the junk that is slowing you down. I mean, if you want to use the analogy of a computer, it's you've stored up every file you've ever opened since you were like from zero to now. I mean, your desktop, you can't even see the desktop. There's so many files in it. You go to your storage devices, and it's just crammed with useless, redundant information, which is only held there because there's an emotional tag which won't let you delete it. But once you free it, you see that emotion again, and you flash it, that frees up space. And I mean, obviously, the more space you have, the more new stuff you can put in it, the faster the whole thing moves, the better it functions. So it's like, yeah, no, I'm very proud of this product. It's a beautiful product, and its potential is we're still seeing where it's going. I mean, it keeps surprising me, and I mean we've given it now out for what 6 8 months to different people, and it just goes deeper and deeper. I mean, I'm excited where the next rendition of Karma Burns going to go for me. Like, okay, well, what next? And I've done a lot of karma clearing in my time, and you think, okay, well, I've done all of this. But sometimes it's an arbitrary memory of, like the school thing. When went to a wedding in Johannesburg over, when was it? 1st of December, and drove past my school, flooded with memory. Wow, all this stuff. I mean, I didn't have a particularly happy school experience, but then who does? And a lot of the stuff was actually sitting there, and I was able to like whew, breathe it out, flush it out, lay it to rest. So, okay, done. I don't need to go there again. But it was important that I actually drove past, and it turned out that the wedding was on the way. The school was on the way to the wedding. So it was like on the way there, I happened to clear some karma. Brilliant. So that's what I was saying to you. Like, if you want the fullest effect of the karma, but good to take it in places where you've had a lot of memory occur. So. But I mean, that's why we've designed the course to support people and to give techniques around that. And obviously, you'll be doing stuff around that, but you'll see what can potentially come up within this. And so, I mean, obviously, the more intention you do it with, the intention to focus on stuff in dreams, daytime, it's all there. I mean, obviously, if you take it before you go to bed, it'll come out more in dreams. If you take it more in the morning, you'll see more of it during the day, but you'll still get an effect regardless.
Yeah, it is. I'm very excited as well. I mean, I've just started taking it myself, and just to see the emotional processing that's going on. Just like the same day, pretty much, just started
Mm.
emptying stuff.
Yes.
And so it is good to have the support. I think it is
Mm,
good to have
mm,
techniques and tools, and even
mm,
just the acknowledgement that yes, this is going to bring up stuff, and yes,
mm,
if you are
mm,
feeling,
mm,
whatever,
mm,
keep working, keep flushing, keep doing
mm.
whatever the course is offering or whatever. And who's that?
No, it's just my maid with my child.
Okay.
Okay, no,
Anyway,
all
so
good.
yeah, so it's a very, I mean, there's so much to say about it. I'm excited to be working with it.
Mm, mm,
There's
mm,
going to be a lot of interesting places. I think it's got its own destiny in a way.
mm,
It's got its
mm,
own pathway that it kind
mm,
of wants to go on, and it's whoever's ready to do the work.
mm. It's interesting. I mean, I got this friend of mine gave it to her sister just off the bat, and she took, and the sister actually wrote down like 9 days of like what actually occurred to her, and what came up in a lot of the dreams was resolution. I mean, one thing that stuck out for me was that all her sort of neurosis around the white black thing. Oh, we're gonna get killed. Malema's gonna come into power, and we're all gonna die. All of that just fell away. It was all just like hysteria, sort of white hysteria or white black hysteria, like just based on media, too much hearing, too many stories of whatever. But she was able to view it and just let it all go. And after that, she's clear of it. So I mean, it even has the potential to free up sort of country karma that you're sort of embracing,
And
which is
global
huge.
karma, I think, as
Global as
well. I mean,
well. Yeah, just for
there's
yourself.
personal, obviously, there's the personal work and the country work, which, of course, we need a lot of here. But for me, there's the global agenda that's changing as well.
Oh,
Who's that?
sorry, it's busy. No, I'm just, hold on.
Hello!
How's it? Okay, give me 2 minutes, yeah?
So,
Okay,
yeah,
can we just
let's,
pause?
I can't
Can we just,
pause. So should we
should we
end
start
just this
again?
part?
Okay, cool.
And, yeah, we'll check
We'll
in
start it up
again
again.
when you're
In five
done.
minutes. 5 minutes
Yeah.
is good.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right.
All right, cool.
Bye.